Hello, and welcome to another edition of Building Tomorrow, Finding Your Why. I'm your host, Ron Schnell, and here in Pinellas County, we offer a variety of hands-on programs that really engage our students. So we encourage you to find out more about the programs available at your school and your area. Today, we're going to talk about game and simulation, kind of game programming, if you will, and game design. Today, let's meet our teachers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elijah Meyer. I am a game and sim design teacher at Hollins High School.
Ron Flowers. I am a game and sim teacher at Richard O. Jacobson Tech High.
Awesome. Just to be clear, there are some other schools out there. We just had our wonderful representation here that are offering these programs. But we were talking just a moment ago before we came onto the show, and we were talking about that misunderstanding that some students and learners may have by going game and sim. Okay, what's a sim? I don't understand that game. Oh yeah, I want to go play games. That's the class I want to do, right?
Right.
That's kind of the experience you're having.
Yeah. So they see that title and they go, "Oh, game," and they just totally ignore the sim part. So I prefer game design because it's harder to mess that one up.
Right. So our students that we're talking about are in the middle of game design, and I know there's two kind of tracks, if you will. One is kind of an artistic track where we're doing the visual design of the games, and then the other side of it is the programming, which is, I guess, I don't know. How does that work? How do those two merge and become one?
Well, game design has a lot of hats. It's not just programming or art. There's animation, there's, the artistic side has lighting and texture mapping and whatnot, but on the software development side, there's optimization, there's, of course, programming, but there's a lot of little pieces that go into there. If you're doing cinematics, for example, then you're learning camera development, how to do film, essentially.
Well, he stepped into your field over there. What do you think about that integration?
I would say Ron definitely nailed it there for sure. When it comes to the aspect of game and sim design overall, there's that misconstrued concept that, it's just playing a game, because over the years, since the 90s onwards now, gaming has become a lot more relevant, but we haven't had much discussion on the actual backside of it, where you have to pour in hours on end to actually develop those before you can actually initiate gameplay.
Yeah, well, and so as teachers, you have a specific lens into the student that comes into your programs. And, I kind of get to see the district as a whole, and I see where a lot of students start that first class, and they go, maybe not. But when I look at your all's programs, you're pretty consistent for 3 and 4 years with these students. So they make it to capstone events and all those types of things. Is there a student in your mind that, maybe kind of surprised you by their aptitude with the ideas, or maybe went on and did something that you want to share to our audience?
Well, I have one. I've got a few students in mind, but one that jumps off the top. His name's Jake. I actually have a couple of Jakes, but this one in particular went off to Florida Polytechnic University, and as a freshman into the university, they hired him on to do programming for their medical field. So that was pretty cool. They were developing as I recall, it's a virtual laparoscopy. I think I got that wrong.
Yeah.
But basically, he's doing the software for that.
So first, like his freshman year,
yeah.
He's starting to work for the university.
Yeah.
While he's going ahead and going to school, and because of some of the programming skills he's probably learned in your program.
Yeah. So he's one of those go-getters who likes to learn every scrap of everything. So when like Mr. Flower says, hey, you should improve this or you should try that, they don't always listen to us. So it's important to have that real-world feedback. Mm-hmm. And what Jake liked to do is we participate in things like Skills USA or Next Generation Tech. And he was really big on NGT. That's that Shark Tank for kids. And through that, he got a hold of a guy who was a senior developer who looked at his code and was like, you should work on this. And so that really motivated him to make some changes. And those connections kind of helped him grow. So when he finally got out of there, he had that portfolio.
I love that your all's programs work with real-world professionals where you're able to get and I appreciate, obviously we're all teachers at one point, that real world feedback that the students are actually lighting on. Okay, yeah, you said that to me 3 times, but what the heck did that mean? And now you're getting somebody in the field that says, yeah, no, you could shorten this up, or did you think about it this way? Is there any student that comes to mind for you, Mr. Meyer?
I would say I've been in constant contact with one of my former alumni, Antonio. He's a student right now actually at USF, and USF doesn't have any game design programs per se, but he's decided to take his aptitude for coding and programming and take it into a field for cybersecurity, actually. So when it comes to our programs themselves, game and simulation design, it's not the end all when you think about it. I have to stay within this particular industry the entire time. The skills that you learn within these curriculums that we give students is so fluid that it can be taken into almost any field that students honestly want to see themselves within. This is more of an opening aspect for them to say, hey, we see that you enjoy game design and game development as a hobby, but let's also take that a step further and develop that into actual skills that you can use in the real world, and go ahead and either go into a college or university institution, continue that education, or go straight into the private sector workforce and show them your aptitude that you learned throughout the 4 years in high school already, and say, I have the knowledge and I'm ready to go ahead and provide that to you.
Well, let's do this just real quick, because, our hope in our podcast here is that there might be listeners out there that are maybe new to our community, or they're thinking about, coming back to public education, or trying to see what else there is out there for their students. Maybe they're going from middle school and what they want to do next. And to that end, I know that from your advisory boards, I've seen some amazing integrations in different businesses and colleges. Ringling Institute, for crying out loud. That's an amazing association to have. And then when I look at some of the career paths that might be out there, UX has become one of the big explosions out there. And for those who are not familiar with it, that's the user interface. And I have to feel that what you're teaching, what your students are experiencing, are leading to, like you said, these other careers, these other opportunities that can be filled through, if not directly, video game production. Yeah. I got it right. Website design, or even in instructional models, like you were saying, for laparoscopic surgeries, for crying out loud. So there's a great nuance to everything that you all are offering.
Yeah, and Meyer hit it on the head by saying, really, this is just one facet of things. Like, they can come in and they can do game design as a whole. They can do it as a career if they want to. But a lot of times my kids go off to do engineering, or they do cybersecurity, or something along those lines. I just spoke with Ben the other day, and he said he's going into civil engineering.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, and when I look at your programs, I have this other lens, and you all know that one of the things I do is these industry certifications, where students can have these valuable credentials leaving high school, and they may be required for their work moving forward anyway. One of the big things is the Unity processes that you all are more familiar with, and I can say it, the Adobe processes and those types of things. And one of the things that always hits me is this project management. I mean, what you all are doing, and I'll lean back on your capstones, but this is probably part of your 4-year progression, where they're starting with a concept, they're having to storyboard it. Is that maybe not one of the processes? You all should be teaching me here. And then they move to the next sections of the production process of it. And, that's project management, and that skill transfers to everything, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's a very transferable skill. Yeah, one of the first things we have them do is create a game design document. This is your initial idea, what genre you're going for, some general things that you want in your game, a basic story. If you're setting up a level, for example, what do you need? Do you need a table? Do you need to have TVs or lighting, or what other fixtures are going to be in there? Because that takes time to build. So that's part of that project management document.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with you, Elijah. If there was a a 30-second pitch that you would offer to somebody listening to our podcast today about joining into one of our video production, game production, game and sim programs, what do you think you might be able to offer them to think about this?
I would say don't be misconstrued by the name itself. Game and simulation design, again, it's a facet to get your students' interest into it, get their feet in the doorway. But the skills, the knowledge that we're going to provide them isn't for, leisure. It's for professional education. It's to make sure that your student is able to leave our high schools, wherever they may be at in this county, and know that they are going to have a bright future ahead of themselves.
Love that concept, a bright future. That's awesome. Hey, so we're pretty much at the end of the section. So if there's anything that you all would like to share with our audience regarding, the consideration of the program, like you said, don't discount it. Give it a whirl, or any other thing you think that maybe I missed in our conversation.
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback off of what Elijah said. Really, it's not just one kind of area, right? So when the kids are coming in and trying to 6th, 7th, 8th grade, they don't know what they want to do. My recommendation for parents is to take them out to the recruiting events. We host several a year. They can do that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Even if they're not ready to go into high school yet, they can go out there early and just kind of sample and talk to the teachers and talk to the different programs, the different schools. There are so many. And just try to do a little bit of everything. That way when they get here, they kind of have an idea of where they're going to go. The worst case scenario, nobody wants this, is when they get to the end of their high school career and they go, I don't really know what I want to do. I'm going to take about a year, maybe 2 years off and just think. Because what ends up happening is they atrophy. And then when they go back in, they're starting over again. Yeah. But if they come in and they know that this is what they want to do, when they get out, they already have a plan. They have internships set up. They've got a college set up. That's ready to go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. And for our listeners out there, if this is one of those programs that you think is something of interest to you, don't be afraid to check into pcsb.org, check out our schools, check out our programs, and stick around for the next segment, please. Welcome back. We have some amazing guests joining us right now, and I'm going to take an opportunity to let them introduce themselves and their positions here in Pinellas County Schools. If I can start with you.
Good morning. I'm Bronwyn Slack. I'm the program coordinator for library media for Pinellas County Schools.
Good morning. James Wilson. I am an instructional technology coordinator here at Pinellas County Schools. I also lead the esports, as well as I am the LMS integration coordinator for the district.
And I am Molly Parrish. I am an instructional staff developer for library media.
Well, thank you all, and thank you for coming and joining us for this podcast. We're looking at game and sim from a CTE lens, and then it dawned on me, well, wait a second, we have this great initiative with esports. And so in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, do our students who are starting to program and visualize and build those type of elements, are they having any better success with the esports programs? Because, a lot of our kids might be gaming these days. Anybody have a take on that?
As the esports lead, this is the reason why we wanted to start a district program. It did start with your game and sim students, and some of our high schools already had what they call gaming clubs, but they did not have an opportunity to play against other high schools, so it was localized. And so the thing that we wanted to do was have these schools compete against one another, sort of building that inter-district play, giving students an opportunity to connect to their school. And if you look at the statistics, quite a few students are already gaming.
Absolutely.
We know that the students that we have now are Gen Z and our Gen Alphas. They're what we call digital natives. So they've been, immersed in technology, and almost about 90% statistics tells us these students are gaming. So.
Yeah. You know, when I was in the classroom, I had some great students, obviously, and one of them graduated. We ran into him, and he was talking about getting on a bus, getting ready to go to a competition. And so for our listeners out there, you know, I'm of that generation, you can't make any money doing gaming. What are you doing? What are you doing? So now we have people that are not only able to program, maintain servers and all of those elements of it, but are actually competing. And some of these scholarships are substantial for their education and other avenues.
Yeah, it's projected that esports is going to be over $1 billion industry by the year 2030, so right around the corner. So preparing these kids for those jobs in esports, and it's not just those that's gaming, as you said. There's your programmers that are building the games. We have shoutcasters who are announcing the games, just like your sports telecasters. You have the video production for capturing the game footage. So it's a big industry. So when most people think about esports, they do only focus on those that are actually playing the game, but there's a whole network of other CTE jobs that line up with esports.
Yeah, that's and all kind of jobs, obviously. So if you're out there thinking about what your student wants to be doing, you might take a look at some of our programs for not only CT, but find the schools that are offering these programs. There's another element to this that I just recently heard about, and I was kind of taken back, in the idea that students who are participating in these events and gaming situations are kind of getting a little bit of an education step up, if you will, with other people. I think Bronwyn can address that.
So as being part of both James, Molly, and I are part of the Office of Student Experience, and so where CTAE is the curricular side of some of this stuff, we get to be some of that enrichment side. And so, like James was saying, through our esports leagues that that have started this year at the high school level, we also try to promote not only potential CTAE career path choices with students, but we've been doing it through our reading programs, specifically through our Boys and Guys Read program. And this year, knowing that we were pushing this esports initiative and we wanted to kind of get some traction, we actually chose 2 books for our Guys Read Middle School, one for Guys Read Middle School, one for Guys Read High School, that cover this topic of either, you know, gaming and potentially what kind of social interactions it provides for students that they might not be able to get in the school environment or in their home environment or in their neighborhoods, but also just the idea of, you know, the kind of well-being that's around digital device usage and maintaining sort of a healthy balance too. So not only are we, you know, kind of letting students know like, hey, you know, middle schoolers, when you get to high school, you could potentially be part of these programs and eventually, you know, they might expand. But also just, you know, seeing how it's depicted in literature and then through the eyes of a fictional character and just sort of how they are, you know, learning how not only just how to play the game and excel at the game, but then there are all sorts of other soft skills that are incorporated, you know, whether it's, like I said, through communication, collaboration, teamwork. I mean, I think some of these different aspects of gaming are overlooked because they're not taken as seriously. And so we, you know, get the fun job of, in our department, of bringing to light some of these things, and we've chosen to do that through our Guys Read program this year.
That's awesome. You know, we always have that concern that our younger students these days are stuck on their phones, and they, you know, you can be in the same room and they'll text each other in those types of situations. But one of the things businesses are truly looking for are those soft skills that you mentioned. So Molly, how are these kids interacting when you see them in the classroom with their teachers, and are they making that bridge to stronger communication skills?
Absolutely. And the engagement that they get from adding this extra layer onto their reading programs really helps bring them together and bridge that gap.
And I would say also doing our Boys Read camp, our Camp Read Strong this summer, we taught them some skills through Minecraft, and they were allowed to do things independently, but they could also do things as a group. And so even though, you know, on one level a game may seem like it doesn't have any of these collaborative or, you know, kids might just play it. If we steer them a little bit as educators, we can make it more of a learning experience too. So I mean, we are kind of, embedding it in different places. We've got another elementary school that's trying to infuse Minecraft in different ways as well, just to kind of tap into some of these things that we're talking about here in an age-appropriate way. Obviously we're going to handle the esports talk a little differently with elementary school students than we would with our middle and high school students. But these are some of the ways that we've tried to sort of, remind everyone that this is something that's gaining popularity, and it can be a real outlet for students that didn't excel in a sport or in a traditional club sense. This is giving them another outlet that maybe they wouldn't have had before.
And it's something that they're already doing. So
Yeah.
we're bringing
Right.
that into the education environment.
Right. And I think there's a big plus on that, because from an educational standpoint, we're going to assure that the guardrails are there. We're not going to find students on chat surfaces that they shouldn't be having these conversations with. We can provide the stability and the appropriate learning skills to, again, build these soft skills, build these communities, build these teamworks, and enhance their education. Well, this has been very enlightening. I'm so happy that you all were able to join me. I'm going to offer around the table, if anybody has anything they'd like to add, maybe a last comment or thought on our prospects here.
So I just want to say that our main reason, or one of the reasons why we did bring this, is we tied it to the reading so that students can see themselves in the books and give them another avenue to see that it's okay and the appropriateness of it. And then by, as you say, bringing it to the school setting, we can now, with our coaches and sponsors of these clubs, develop those soft skills in appropriate ways, right? Effective communication, critical thinking, problem solving, leadership skills. So esports is more than just your kid in a dark room yelling at the computer.
Absolutely.
And just a quick little plug, if community members and other teachers and students are interested in seeing potentially what that esports situation could look like, we do have an Experience PCS coming up on December 6th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Clearwater High School, and we are planning to showcase esports there. So if community members are interested, they are welcome to join us that day for that free event.
And thank you. We offer Experience Pinellas, PCS, annually. So if you missed this year's opportunity, obviously the date will change, but check in with us, and we'd be glad to send you out to the next location to see all about what we're doing. Thank you all for being here with this episode, and we'll stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Thank you for having us.
And welcome back. We are sitting here with some great experts in the post-graduation area, and our underlying theme today is the program we might know as game and simulation. And so I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves and tell everybody how you got involved with Pinellas County and the schools.
Okay, hi Ron. My name is Steve Plummer, and I'm a content specialist for the business, IT, and marketing strands that we offer here in CTE. I started teaching 20 years ago, in year 20. Before that, I had a career in technology and sales, and I have been in this role for the past 11 plus years, looking over our programs that are involved in, again, business, IT, and marketing.
Awesome. And to my right,
my name's Dave Outlaw. I got involved with the Pinellas County Schools through my Rotary Club, and we were trying to figure out how to help teachers, because we knew that we helped the teachers and we leveraged what we gave them. They would have 500 students plus, and so we were able to really focus in on the teachers. And subsequent to that, I was a product development engineer. I began my career 40 years ago and went through all the processes and became a project manager, plant manager, general manager, and in the end I ended up in training. So I had a lot of challenges with that, so I understand the teachers. Now, after I semi-retired, I came to Pinellas County, and I am a subcontractor to the schools for 3D printing, which is part of the skill sets that I had when I was in my career. So with that, I began to see how things had changed dramatically when I got into the classroom, and that technology had taken off, and I was trying to catch up. And I have been catching up, and I have to tell you, I am very, very impressed with what I see from the students as well as the teachers in technology and the things I wish I would have had during my career. So I'm excited. I'm very excited to be here. It's a lot of fun. The process of sharing, how we used to do makes me feel like the old guy, but I think the context is still the same.
Yeah,
Trying
those
to
are
deliver
foundational
a product.
skills, right? Yeah.
So, we have all the technology to help us.
Yeah, and the innovation here
Yeah,
from what
absolutely.
students are having these days is just an amazing part of it. Now, may I call you Steve?
You may.
The course structure for our underlying theme here, game and sim. Tell us about how that works out. The kids come in and they decide they want to dabble in it a little bit, and then they go on from there.
Right. This is just one of our pathways. It's in the IT strand, and the students can take game and sim courses. Specifically, what we're doing in these courses are teaching programming skills for them to be able to build and design a video game that could be then put to market and to test. They have various levels, and then they can, again, compete in activities where they actually show off their games, participate in esports, and those kind of activities. And I think what it does is it allows them to get a kind of a taste of what what they can do further on down the road. And one example I can give is we had a student from one of our high schools a few years back that actually was hired by a game and sim company while she was still in school, and she was earning about $70,000 a year as a remote programmer for that company while she was still a high school student. So some of those are the obviously the exceptions to the rule, but we have that kind of activity going on in the programs.
And in some of our programs, we talk about, how you go from high school to the next position, whether it's a career path or whether you're going to post-secondary education and those types of things. In this example, where they're literally in school and earning, again, not the norm. But along that line, and you probably see this a lot, Dave, what type of pathways could somebody who's got some visual art skill sets from game and sim and some programming skills, what types of careers could they see themselves in down the road?
It's virtually unlimited, and the reason is learning is a different process than the actual things that you go through that you're doing. Learning, and you have to train people, and if you're going to be successful in any business, it hinges on having well-trained employees. So you can accelerate the training process, which takes a long time to learn experientially, by making mistakes and then costing you a lot of money. Well, you simulate it, and you can learn from those mistakes with zero amount of loss. So the leveraging of the technology does a lot of other things. And I go back, when I was trying to train, I had pencil and paper and videos sometimes, but I had to try to explain the dynamics of how things work. With the technology and the modeling that the kids can do with this stuff, they can show you the inside working of a piece of equipment, how a plastic flows through a mold. And once you see that, the things that you can't see, it accelerates the learning. So, the technology that we have now is just so superior. So any student that can model any concept, it doesn't have to be, it could be a human body, it could be anything, and show you how it works, then you have less mistakes, you have faster learning, and you also have an opportunity to see how to improve. So it's just a phenomenal thing.
And I think that this generation of learners, this style of integration into that learning field, we're talking about the potential of making a game or a video or a 3D model of moving through the processes as part of a career and or a learning process is something that they gravitate to. And I know that we've spoken about some of the capstone projects that these students are coming out in some of our programs where they're taking you through a real life environment, and you have some input on those.
Well, some specific examples that might be there are just literally taking a concept and do what we call gamify it to make it easier to learn because it's more interesting to the user. We have our students participating in an event coming up in December. All of our game and sim programs will participate in what's called Experience Pinellas. And they will essentially be there showing off their games to each other from the other schools and allowing some critique of those games. Honestly, what are a lot of them? There are a lot of them, or we're finding our way through a maze of villains and characters, trying to capture a flag or something like that. But it's just that ability to learn how to program through that process gives them some skills that they can use as they go forward. They, again, I don't want to miss this and to say that the game and sim program could also be a way for them to realize what they don't want to do. They can look at it and say, this isn't really my thing, but maybe I just want to be a programmer. Mm-hmm. Maybe I don't want to build a game, but I want to program some system, and those skills are transferable.
Right, they certainly are.
Yeah,
we always find that as a win. When we have students that are maybe in a program and they go for a little while and they go, oh, you know what? I realize this is not where I want to spend the next part of my high school career.
That's my son's example. My son was got in the engineering academy at Eastlake High School, and realized during the first semester this is not what he wanted to do. So he finished out, but it was good that we didn't go into college and find out that that's not what he wanted to do, and spend money on courses that were not going to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to miss that point.
No, but I think, and that's a lot of people are looking for that as their high school experience.
Right.
What are the options that I can look at, and then if I find something, I can gravitate to it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning your dalliance in the 3D area, and when I look at these students who are creating these virtual reality areas, and I'm thinking about with the 3D printing these days, they can bring these things to life.
Right. That is part of the process. Well, in manufacturing, we make things that you physically feel. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is you try to explain to somebody your new concept. And you say, well, it's kind of like this. Well, now you can design it, and you can literally put it in their hands. See, that's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things we learned a long time ago is that people can tell you what they don't want after they see it. Okay? Then you say, no, it's not going to work. I don't like that. So then when I see these things, because I went through that process, I'm like, you guys don't know what you got here. I think you're really underestimating the power of what you have. The fact that you have a game. I used to put people to sleep. I was a cure for insomnia. When I would try to train them, and I was like, how am I going to keep them awake? And so I found out that making it fun or making it a game, that if you got their input, they would stay in it. So these games virtually, we're working on one right now. I think I mentioned to you that one of the teachers wants to do the Sequest, where it talks about a turtle and how it goes through the environment, how to keep it alive, and you have multiple questions to digitize it and make the students, really learn how those things work in the environment. So there's so many potential things and different ways to do this, but it all comes down to, if you don't remember it, you didn't learn it. But if you're playing a game, you're going to remember it, because that involves more of your memory processes that increase when you are having fun.
Well, I'm certainly hearing that this is an amazing program that we offer here. Are there any closing thoughts you might have for our guests who would be tuning in?
Well, I just think that this is, again, like you say, it's another one of those options that is a very exciting program because it allows the students to get their hands on something and actually be able to create something. And I think that, as we look at these programs and we see the amazing output that the students have come up with, we also have to not forget the fact that in these programs that we see, when they're in these academy programs that we have around the district that have these types of programs or types of courses, is that we have students that have higher GPAs, they have less absenteeism, less discipline infractions, things like that, than their non-academy counterparts that we see. And we know that these are students that are sticking with it. They're coming to school. They're excited, and they're actually very proud of the work that they've put together.
Absolutely. Yeah. We want to thank all of our guests for joining us today, and all of you, our listeners, for taking a look inside at Building Tomorrow, Finding Your Why. If you or someone you know would like to share your career and technical education experiences, please contact me. We hope you'll share our podcast with a friend, add a like, and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode.